Hi, everyone. So I'm Omar Sanseviero. I'm the Chief Llama Officer at Hugging Face. And today I will talk about how to distribute 1 million open models in the wild. And my goal with this short talk is just to share some of the lessons learned from the Hugging Face Hub. An alternative title for the talk is Open Models Go Brr, because some of these trends are quite fun. So just to begin with a quick quiz, how many open models does Hugging Face host? So A, 250K, B, C. So who thinks that we have 1 million open models? Or D, 1.5? So that's the title of the talk, so it's 1 million. It's kind of an easy question. Okay, so how many PyTorch models does Hugging Face host? So who thinks that we have 300K, 500, 700, 1 million? Okay, so not all models on Hugging Face are PyTorch, but yeah, 500,000 models. That number is quite impressive if you put it in like the whole context. Okay, so how many terabytes do you think Hugging Face serves daily? A, 300 terabytes a day, 500, 1 petabyte, 6 petabytes. Okay, so people are looking at Twitter because, yeah, it's 6 petabytes. So every single day in July, nowadays it's actually a bit higher, we serve about 6 petabytes and over 1 billion requests a day. In big part thanks to Llama 405p, it's a large model. But yeah, so to switch a bit, let me share a bit about security. So if you know, many libraries, including PyTorch, use Pickle as a way to persist models, as a way to share models. And you might know that these models by default are unsafe. So Pickle files contain the weights, but you can also execute arbitrary code. So if you're downloading a model, you might be running code that you don't want to run. So there are a few ways you can do to avoid this. So the first one, the easy, is to just load models from people you trust. So you might just want to download models from a couple of organizations. PyTorch now has this nice parameter called weights only equals true. So that means that you will just load the tensors, and then you will make sure that you're not loading any potentially malicious code. So that's nice as well. On Hugging Face side, we have a thing called the pickle scanning. So we scan pickle files for potential malware. We look at the imports within the pickle to see if there are potential things such as running any arbitrary code. Of course, none of this is perfect, but this helps you identify potentially malicious pickle files. And alternatively, you can use other serialization formats. So we have developed with a couple of other partners the safe tensors format that allows people to share models with a persistent format that will not contain any arbitrary code. So yeah, that was more of a parenthesis about security, but that's something that is quite good to know. So now let me share a bit of interesting stats. So these are, here you can see in the y-axis the unique number of users that are downloading models for different tasks. So this slide in particular is for different computer vision tasks, so video classification, video text-to-text. And this is quite nice. You can see the trend that, for example, the red line, for example, that's image text-to-text. So those are vision language models, so models that take as input both images and text, such as Pixtral or QuenBL. And you can see clearly this year the number of people downloading these models has grown significantly. Purple is image classification, so that's kind of expected. But you can see the overall trend for all of these different tasks is going up. Okay, so vision language models go brr. Actually, all modalities are going brr. You can see, for example, NLP goes brr. Vision is also going quite well. At one point, it almost overtook the NLP models, but the growth has been a bit less explosive. But then we're also seeing audio models, multimodal models. There has been very nice trends here. So this is the plot of Llama-based models on the hub. So how many unique users are downloading Llama-based models. And you can clearly see like a very nice trend here. So we're seeing almost 600K unique users downloading the model. There's this other plot. So in the last plot, here I'm just showing number of unique users downloading the model. Here what I'm showing is the number of Llama-based repositories being created on Hugging Face. So as you know, Llama is just an architecture. There are many people training or sharing fine-tuned models of Llama, or models with the same architecture, but it's not official Llama models, right? So here you can see how many new models are being created with the Llama architecture every single week. In the last few weeks, it has been between 3,000 and 4,000 models. If you think about it, that's crazy. We're having 3,000 to 4,000 new Llama-based models every single week. What is even more impressive is that if you look at the plot, it's kind of a llama shaped, so I really like that. Another trend we're seeing is that the small models are also going in a very nice direction. So a few years ago, we had a very small set of very small models. Now we're seeing like very powerful models at very small scales, right? So there is Gemma, Phi, Small LM, Quen, that's in the text space. In the vision space, there is SAM, Deft Anything, Mobile VIT. For SAM, there are 20 different variations that are smaller than the original ones. There is Whisper, Parallel TTS for the speech recognition and generative speech. And finally, in multimodal, there is Mobile Clit, Nanolava, Florence 2, Moondream, and there are a bunch of other models. Now, Hugging Face is very well known for transformers, but Hugging Face does not host only transformers models. We actually host models for many different libraries that go from reinforcement learning, computer vision. I mean, transformers also has computer vision, but there are other libraries such as TIM. So here you can see, again, the number of unique people downloading models for different libraries. Okay, Safe Tensors is the one at the top, but you can see, for example, people are using diffusion models quite a bit. People are using GGUF, sentence transformers, SetFit team, many different libraries. So it's really a platform for all kinds of libraries. And finally, all models are really going brr. So this, again, is a plot of how many new models we are having every single week. So in total, right now, Hugging Face has 1.5 million models. That's closed plus open models in total. And if you see the trend in these last couple of weeks, every single week, there are between 30 and 40,000 new models every single week. So when I joined Hugging Face 3.5 years ago, we had maybe a few dozen new models every week. So it's quite fun, quite impressive to really think there are 40,000 new models being shared every single week. Just to close a bit the talk, I want to share a bit more about the architecture lifecycle. So when there's a new model architecture, usually people get extremely excited. There are some tweets by famous people. People start to play with it. Maybe it doesn't perform as well as they expected. And then usually the usage, the excitement, the hype kind of goes down. And there are kind of two options, two pills. So on one hand, the model simply doesn't get the long-term usage or adoption that was expected. On the other hand, it might kind of recuperate and might have quite a bit of usage in the long term. So there are a couple of things that can help this architectural lifecycle go as the rest of the models. So first of all, focus on a single architecture rather than trying to change the architecture too often. Llama is one of the most common architectures, and most of the new generative text models are actually very close to the Llama architecture. The second thing that helps quite a bit in adoption is transparency and openness. So not all of the new models that are open are transparent with which was the data that was used to train the models. So in general, being more transparent about the data set, about how to use the model, having very nice model card, very nice data set card, that kind of stuff can help quite a bit with adoption of the model. The third point is avoiding complex licenses. So if your license is extremely confusing, then the legal teams in many companies will not want to use the model just because it's a very different license. So if you use MIT, Apache, then everyone will be able to use the model easily, at least from a license perspective. But if you have a very custom license, that can deteriorate adoption of the model. A simple API consistent with the rest of the model, so try to avoid like a super weird chat template. That will help quite a bit. So yeah, that's pretty much my talk. Thanks a lot.